Normally we'll do the presentation and have you go back to the person that invited you on to get your questions answered, or get on one of our question and answer sessions. But today, it's very special. We're going to transition right into the question and answer session right now. So those of you who have questions, you can ask. I have the one and only, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen him for yourself. He is real, tangible, because so many times we're always presenting and be like, this guy, Travis Fox, he's an actor, he's an Academy Award winner. He is a good looking dude and he is funny on stage, as he said, but we have him here live. So if you have questions, relating to, what it takes and the steps to get your content on our platform to become a content provider and be branded globally, or you have questions about the opportunity, we're going to take some time to answer that for you. So I want to just take the time right now to open up, and any one of you, you can raise your hand, you can type it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself and speak so that we can answer your questions for you. So with that, the floor is open. All right. Hi, Marianne. I see you. What question did you have? Oh, you put yourself on mute.
There we go. Okay, so I'm sort of psyched. So basically, if I took what I've learned in the 64 years on this planet about education, I could literally create a course. I know I could. Being an educator, trained as one, but it's living one. I could do that, right?
You absolutely can.
So anyone could take the amazing life skills that we learn and create something that would benefit people looking for that information, right?
Correct. Isn't that amazing? I know.
It's like we have it all already. It's just within us.
Yes. So, Miriam, that's called a no-brainer. And let me give you my definition of a no-brainer. A no-brainer is, if you took a scalpel, cut the forehead open, take out the brain, put it on the ground, close it back, still makes sense. That would be a no-brainer. All right. So I saw Peter said he had a question. Peter, what's your question? By the way, I'm sorry, Miriam, does that answer your question? Sorry, Peter. Okay, awesome. Peter, yes.
Okay, so this is a question for Dr. Obam and Travis. So I have already, well, not already, I've submitted a application a few months ago, but I didn't make it through the process. And I was supposed to have a talk with Dave, but I was also second guessing myself. And I was saying, okay, you know what, maybe I do need to develop. And let's just say the universe answered me. I feel like I'm a lot more prepared now for the for the application process, and I have a stronger message to share with the world. So what do you typically look at when it comes to the audition process? Because now I feel like I could but I could deliver a message over a camera for 10 minutes straight, and I don't have to edit it anymore. Before I would like cut pictures and try to make it perfect. But what do you look for in the audition process so that that we're the right people?
So I'll let the good looking part of the two of us go first. That's Travis.
I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I'm the smaller doctor, right? He's taller than me. The great question, Peter. I think that's wonderfully honest that you looked at the process. There's a lot of people who have said, hey, look, I want to teach a course. And to Miriam's point, everybody can. And the goal of ASCIRA to reach beyond 1 billion is it's going to take all of us to do it. Every one of us is a master teacher over time. What makes you masterful is the willingness to improve, the willingness to learn, and the willingness to keep looking at your message. Now, the number one challenge with becoming an edutainer, which is really what we're really driving for, is many people can stand in front of a video and do a 10-minute video with it, like Dr. O said, and do it with their iPhone. That's not this. You're going to walk in, there's going to be multiple cameras, there's a behind the scenes crew that's filming. I know, because most of the stuff in North America, it's my crew that's doing it. We've been doing this for years, so we're going to catch you for 2 reasons. One, we want the real you. If you come on the set and you're plastic, I'm going to stop you. I want authentic teacher trainers. The time for Hollywood, the plasticism is over. I know, I grew up in it. It's not interesting. That's not education. That's just a presentation. We want people to really feel your message, Peter, Miriam, and everyone else on the call. So the first thing we're looking for in the interview is that you know what your message is, not just in a 10-minute video, but in 20 of them. And the reason why it's 20 is we want people to go through a journey with you. We don't want them just to watch something like they can watch on YouTube or Netflix or else. We want them, and I say this respectfully, I want them to binge watch you, Peter. I want them to go, dang, this guy is knocking me out of the park. He's hitting me with stuff I've never thought of. He's throwing it at me in a way that makes me think, expand, takes my comfort zone and blows it apart. And I really want to, this is a person I want to hang out with. So when they come to an ASCIRA live event, they know you. They know you because they've engaged with you. And the way the platform is designed and the way we've created interactivity, you'll be engaging with the people that are watching you. Not watching Dr. O, not watching me, not watching, but they're watching you, and you'll be able to interact with them. Unlike anything where it's like you just leave a comment, you'll interact with them. So they'll get to know the feeling of you. So if it's not the same Peter on camera, that's the same Peter that's live, we got to disconnect. And that's the number one problem we've had with Hollywood for years. Who you see on film, for example, when you see me on film, unless it's a documentary, I'm acting. I'm not Travis Fox. I'm whoever they told me to be or whoever the director wanted me to be. When I'm in films like John Secretouris and I did earlier this year, Beyond the Secret, which was the sequel to The Secret, it's just John and I being John. Our message is about what we want. Dr. O, great other teachers who came in, but the same guy you're talking to now is the same dork I am on film and the same dork I am when I'm live. I'm the same dork when Dr. O and I have coffee. He doesn't because I'm a coffee freak, as you can undoubtedly tell. It's the same guy. So we're looking for, when you come to the audition, two key things. Make sure you know what your story arc is. Not, hey, I want to, and I use this term, I want to be a coach. Of what? You gotta narrow that down a little bit, family. So be really crystal clear on what you want to coach, mentor, train, teach, or be a motivational speaker on any topic. In fact, the broader, the better. Right? Because now there's so many people that are coming out of the woodwork that have been really, and I say this wonderfully respectfully, have never had a chance to come out of the shadows, right? Unless you were on stage or on film or on the circuit like Dr. O and I were, you kind of grew up in that thing, you're just there somewhere. Now you have an opportunity through ASCIRA where you can go instantly global, bang. The entire world knows who you are. 56 countries, thousands of people. The moment they see you, they're going to know you. So you got to be prepared for what your message is. So write it down. And then when you do your interview, all we're looking for, like I said, 3 minutes. Just give me 3 minutes of, Peter, who are you? What's your passion? What are you going to teach? What's the experience you want people to go through? And what's a little bit of your history? I don't need your full resume. We can get that through your application process. I just need to know a little bit about you, sir. That's what we're looking for. Does that answer everybody's question? Specifically yours, Peter. Was that answering the question?
Perfect. And I think I overdid it last time. I shared too much of the story without really talking about the message. Right. And I think that's why I got rejected. So I have a system now, and I can actually condense it to 3 minutes. So I am looking forward to the audition process again.
Great. I think that's a great observation. I want to expand on it if I can, Dr. O, just for 2 more minutes. Okay. What you said, Peter.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. I'm grateful. Peter, you're exactly correct. For the rest of you, Peter, what he just said just gave you a golden nugget. And if you're not paying attention, you need to get with Dr. O and the team. Watch this again. What he said was, I gave too much of the story. Respectfully, the board is not interested in your story. Give me that in 30 seconds. I want to know the journey you're going to take all of these users on for 2 reasons. One, they're going to binge watch the heck out of you, right? They are paying for this and they're going to want to consume as much as you can. But 2, as Dr. O just said a moment ago, if you're on the ASCIRA business side, it benefits you. They need to know that you're actually a part of this at a bigger scale. It grows you in ways that we're not even talking about on this. You're not. If whoever invited you here, get with them. There are so much bigger things going on in the background about your brand that you can't, your brain will explode. It's more than I can even tell you, even though I'm a part of it. Obviously, Dr. O is a brand ambassador. He's way a part of it as well. I can tell you this, the story arc is just the beginning. So focus on the experience you want people to experience from your story, not your story. Your story is interesting, but you can tell me in 30 seconds or less. Does that make sense, sir?
I'm getting goosebumps. That means I'm in the future already. So thank you.
Oh, good. Let's be here for a second. Make sure that absorbed in, and then you can be in the future for a few minutes from now.
Well, thank you so much for the value.
You're welcome, brother. Thanks, sir. Dr. O?
Awesome. It looked like someone else raised their hand. Let me put it back to gallery mode. Who? Is it Samara? Oh, hi, Samara. What's your question, my dear?
Hi there, Dr. O. And yes, I think it's really great, this presentation, because really to understand how to get on the platform. Myself, you know, I'm probably not as experienced in speaking and other things, but I'm getting my confidence. It's just because I've never had that role. There's a lot of roles that people take on in life for their true, authentic self. But this is great information to know. But I wanted to ask from Mr. Travis Fox with, you know, I guess the caliber of training and you know, his professionalism in doing things at a Hollywood level, like what kind of training or what things should we do that could help us in terms of getting to the caliber of like speaking confidently or the experience that you want with our story? What kind of things can we do?
That's a fabulous question. Dr. O, you want me to jump on that one? Or you want to take it, sir?
She asked you, sir. She
I was trying to pass the buck,
good-looking
boss.
guy to answer it, not this bald guy.
I know Dr. O. Dr. O is amazing, but we need to take it to the next level. This is like, you know, make it experience.
That's right. See, Travis, she said it. She wants to go next level. Travis Fox.
Hey, man, she said it, Doc, not me. Okay, that's a great question. So
Dr. O,
well done.
please.
There's some
Sorry,
great
I need
trainings.
to go. Okay.
Yeah, there's some great things you can do, right? There are many paths to come into the ASCIRA world. Obviously, Dr. O's team, we obviously have our team. I'm obviously a BizOp part of this. I'm one of the founding Assyrians as well, along with Dr. O and the entire team, a part of that as well. One of the great things that you're going to want to do, and this is an old trick. Now, I want you to, and you're going to go, Travis, no way. I'm telling you, it saved my career. I want you to stand in the mirror every day, and I want you to practice talking to yourself with a smile. Hi, my name is Travis Fox. And for the last 30 years, I've been helping people architect their lives and their lifestyles. You see that? Or this. Hi, I'm Travis Fox, and I've been helping people architect their lives and their lifestyles. Most people talk in the latter because they're in their head when they're talking to the camera. The camera doesn't talk back. It just captures what you're doing. So look at the mirror, because the camera doesn't give you a strong reflection of what we, the viewer, are seeing. All you see is the little black camera looking at you, usually in the lens, and you're trying to figure out who you're talking to. The problem is most people get stuck talking at. They talk at the camera. I need you to talk through it. I need you to talk through it in such a way that you literally reach out and grab the user, the experiencer, the viewer, as though we're talking one-to-one. By standing in the mirror, you're going to see yourself. It's amazing the observation you'll get when you start to talk to yourself in the mirror. People will think you're nuts. You are. Deal with it. If not, go talk to Dr. O. He'll pull your head out of your rear end. You can figure that out, and I'll deal with it on the camera side. It's a tag team between the two of us. But what I want you guys all to do is get in the habit of being in the passion that you claim that you have. More often than not, and this has been my 30-year career, I know Dr. O and I are literally paralleled in each other. I'm actually slightly older than him, which I hate to admit, but I actually am slightly older than him, and he is better looking. That is true. I know it sucks. That's terrible. I hate to admit that, but it is true. So here's the deal. Get in the habit of being that, and the only way you're going to do that is you're going to stare in the mirror and stare at yourself. If you can't stare at the mirror and hold a frame of how you feel for 10 minutes, that's where we need you to work on. Now you can there's a bunch of other trainings, myself, the brand ambassadors, the other board members. We've already been implementing things that will come down the road. I'm not going to announce them fully yet, that will help you develop you as a content provider, where we're going to take you through what we do, how the camera shoots, how it works, how to evoke the emotion, so that you can truly understand the difference between a live presentation, meaning on stage, a camera presentation, and an edutainer. And they are three very distinct movements. I've done all three almost my entire career, and they're very different movements. And of course, now you can add the fifth element or the fourth element, which is these live Zooms, because as Dr. O said, well, travel's a little different right now, but eventually that's going to release and move into a different way. But this will become a mainstay going forward. So we're going to have to master all four of those, but it starts with you being the feeling that you claim you want the user to experience. And that starts with looking in the mirror. That's the best advice I can give you right now.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
Hey,
Thank
guys.
you for that, Travis. It looks like Fasana had a question. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, hello. So my question is for, I guess, let's call it the newer coaches, consultants, speakers, authors to the business world. And as both of you know, there is a learning curve going from, yes, becoming a masterful coach into becoming a masterful business person, an entrepreneur. So what benefits would you say that ASCIRA provides to people in that category that will allow us to, I guess, increase our business acumen and get to your level?
Awesome.
I'm sorry, was that question for me, Coach, or for Doc O?
That would be for, you know what, Travis, we have you tonight. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear your response.
Thanks, O. I was trying to pass that one off again. Didn't work.
I'll share mine after yours, Travis. How about that?
Yeah.
We'll tag team it.
Better, why don't you go first? Because they've heard from me twice in a row, and then I'll pick up the rear.
All right, well, ping pong, balls in my court. So, you know, Fasana, for me, I think part of it, the biggest part was the main reason I said I got started, which was being around other excellent, and since we're talking tennis players. So Travis is in the space of speaking, teaching, training, and developing. I mean, his course, as you can see behind him, which is, you know, architecting your life. He's been teaching that master course for a while. I've been doing something similar with my message, and both of us are basically on the same path, but he had a different path he's been taking that I started literally like 2 years after him. So I wanted to be around, the first part was being around people who are already further along in the journey that I'm going on, so that I can learn from them and their experiences and their failures. I love to talk about failures with successful people more than their successes. Why? Because when you learn about the failures, you learn what, in a sense, to avoid. So if someone is telling you, you know, going down this street, it has 16 potholes, most people don't want to know about the potholes. I want to know about the potholes so I know what to avoid. The second part was being able to leverage from Travis's 30 years, to be able to leverage from John's 32 years, to be able to leverage from Belinda's 23 years, to be able to leverage from Steve Martin's 12 and a half years, to be able to leverage from Robert's 18 years. It's all about leverage and access for me. So I was, and you know this more than anything else, I was willing to invest what it costs to be able to leverage their experiences and have access to the results or the failures they had, so I didn't have to do it. Now, on the business end, you know, I shared earlier Darren's information that's on there. I remembered when I first met Darren about 12 years ago, I used to go and watch his trainings like month after month, and it would cost roughly about $1,500. Even if the training was $300. But I took my wife, we flew there or we drove there, we bought food, and we spent money, you know, at the hotel for the 2-3 day training just to get the information, but it was still a $1,500 investment. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. So to be able to work and connect and network with Darren, when I finally had the chance to meet him personally, we became friends and I studied him for about 6 months, and that's how I made my first 7 figures in the industry. So it's really just being able to connect with the people who've done it and learn directly from them instead of trying to figure it out myself. All right, so I hope that was helpful. And I will pass the tennis racket or the ball back in the court for Travis. Back to you, sir. There, he's got it.
Thanks, Doc. Doc, I think we should do this as a more often thing. Call it the D2 show. We should have this.
We should.
I love doing this with you. This is a lot of fun. I'm actually, this is a nice break from staring at applications all day and looking at videos. So I'm kind of enjoying this, family. So let's just stick around and ask questions about anything. But to answer your question specifically, I think the biggest key, and I think your question is phenomenal. It's something that for the industry for the last, really specifically for me, the last 10 years. And when John asked me to be a part of ASCIRA, I said, look, John, my #1 goal is to change the education system. I think that a lot of people out there have learned a bunch of stuff, but they haven't really been educated, right? And so coaches are kind of that next step after, whether it's middle school, high school, university, post-grad. But if you really look at school in and of itself, for those of us who are quality coaches in something, right? Unless you specifically focus and have an MBA, and even then I would challenge a lot of MBA who hold these degrees who are not solid business people. We don't teach those skills. That's education. ASCIRA, between what all of us are doing together as a collective here and the rest of the people that are not on this call around the globe, is changing education to educate ourselves to a very specific thing. And I'll put a fine point on it. I find a lot of coaches who specifically come to our academy or come to ASCIRA, who work with Dr. O, who say, I'm a great coach, but they are terrible business people. Why? Because they didn't learn it. Why? Because that's not what they were trained in. And even furthermore, you have to learn it on your own. And to Dr. O's point, it becomes the redundancy of mistakes versus the building blocks of success. So we're constantly making the same mistakes over and over again. Part of it's programming, right? Let's start with that. And you can all go through that thing. And the ASCIRA Academy now says, you know what? And here's my stance. So I'm just going to go out on a limb. And Doctor, I hope, please give me the latitude to be a little grandstandy here for a second. I'm going to jump up on a soapbox. Here's the deal.
Sir.
Thank you, brother. Here's the deal. You went through your school, you learned a bunch of stuff. 80% of it you forgot and never used. Waste of time. It was waste of frickin' time. And if you went to university, like I just graduated my son from Georgetown Law School, it cost 6 figures. And he said, Dad, I love you, but I don't want to be a lawyer. Great. Could have probably thought about that before we went to law school. That's awesome. Thanks, son. You should get that from your mother. Just kidding. So here's the deal. Why do we have to go into debt to educate? That's the first question. ASCIRA solves that problem instantly, but it solves it on a second problem. How many of you remember this statement, especially my generation? I'm 49. I turned 50 later this year, right after the beautiful event in Dubai. I turned 50, and Daco and I and the rest of you who are going to be there with us in Dubai, we're going to celebrate a little bit Dubai style. Here's the deal. How many of you remember the reason you had to take most of your general education classes, both in high school and university, were because you had to become a well-rounded person? I think well-rounded people suck. Here's why. Rolling around and doing the same thing and never get things. We want you to be laser master teacher trainers. I want you to be the one, the top 10 in the world. You don't have to know everything. In fact, I can tell you point blank, I'm dumb as a brick. Outside of what I know, I'm stupid. I call Dr. O and go, I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me what I'm doing, man. I don't know. But I can take this global community now, and which we're all a part of, and find other great master teachers, develop the next generation of educationally training masters who are laser focused, razor sharp at what they know. But this jack of all trades being well-rounded is the most dangerous thing we have done, because we have dulled the light of who you really are, for what the purpose you really are. And that business skill masterfully does itself when you are on purpose, on point, and on passion. And if you're not, you're wandering around like a leaf in the wind. And if you don't know the rules of law and structure and corporate structure and wealth protection, how to do all that, well, guess what? Then, you know, a fool and his money are lucky if they get together in the first place. And that's because you learned something, not because you were educated. The difference here is in ASCIRA, we educate, we look for master trainers. We're going to develop you as a master trainer. You're going to develop those leadership skills as you develop your business opportunity at the same time. And what a concept. It's called earn and learn in our world. When I talk to people, and Dr. O comes on my side, we do learn and earn, right? I want you to learn and earn at the same time. I don't want you to go in debt so that you come out with this piece of paper, which, by the way, is only as good as the piece of paper if somebody else says it's worth. Not what you paid for it, what someone else is willing to hire you for. I think that's the worst model in history. Now that brings up self-worth issues, self-esteem issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you end up on Dr. O's couch, and I'm like, go talk to him because he's going to mess with your head. I gave up messing with heads. I only mess with hearts now because heads are too complicated for me. I only mess with here. But nonetheless, you're going to end up on one of our couches going, I don't have my purpose or my passion, doc. I'm like, yeah, you do. You just got really learned and well-rounded. We want you laser focused. You'll learn that skills in ASCIRA by people who are masters at their craft and their specificity, but they're not talking across the board in euphemisms and euphoria and, well, doggone it, if you just think it falls out of the sky. No, it doesn't. I know. I just did a film with John about it where we talk about that. It's not that way, but you can learn to be a master and be focused, and then your passion, your purpose, and a point reveals itself, and your brand takes off, your business takes off, and now, guess what? You get to enjoy the life before it's over. That's what I would say.
So, Travis,
Yes,
that
sir.
is not grandstanding. Here's what that is.
Talk to me, boss.
I lost the mic. I can't even show you that I dropped it. It went through the floor.
It's okay. I lose mine every day. Without my glasses, I couldn't see you.
So that was powerful. That was beautiful. Well put. You know, one of my good friends is on here. I'm going to call him out. He can love me or he can hate me, but I know he hates to love me and loves to hate me all at the same time. Dr. Femi, who's actually been a architect in the relationship space. And him and I, for my wife and I, our relationship company, we were planning on putting some of our work on the ASCIRA platform. And I've talked to him, and it's so funny how the world is, because today we were just chatting about the possibility of working together. And I invited him on here, so he looked at it. So I'm going to call him out, Dr. Femi, to say, you know, there's nothing in our academy about relationships, and you and I should put our course together. So where is he? I'm scrolling through here because I know I saw him on here for a second. Where is he at? Oh, there he is. Hey, Dr. Femi. I'm excited to have you on, but I want to be able to talk a little bit more about your course too. So whenever you feel like it, you can ask a question, or we could talk some more about it. But I want to do that with you because relationships are misunderstood on how you actually build them in the single world or the marriage world. And, you know, my wife and I have invested literally over $1 million into ourselves on the relationship side. And we're still doing it every year. We attend 4 of them, except for this year, because we haven't attended none yet, thanks to COVID. But we've been reading more. And that's something that needs to be understood. So I'll leave that there. And Dr. Femi, you and I could talk some more too, brother, but I'm glad you made it on. Any other questions, either on becoming a content provider or the business? Afia, yes, ma'am. I see that big old smile. What's your question?
Hi, the question that I have is more on like maybe like reinventing yourself. Like, for example, if you want to be a content provider, but you've been in business for a while and your business is evolving, like what advice would you give for how to create something new from something old? Especially since I'm way into like repurposing and stuff, I'd be interested to hear either one of your perspectives on that.
Gotcha. Well, Travis, I'm going to take this one first so you kind of know a little bit of her background and then have you answer it too. But that's a great question, especially with who you are. Afia is like the repurposing goddess. Listen, I say that not just because she is, but because she happens to be my business partner and I get the benefit from that too. So in one of my companies, this woman repurposes every and anything. So what you're asking, and I was actually really, Anna and I was asking about this the other day, like, when is she gonna find the confidence to say she wants to put her whole course and teach people how to break it down and repurpose their content? So if you're a speaker, trainer, author, entrepreneur, how do you put your message on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, wherever? This woman does it. Most of the beautiful funnels and things that I build, the copy, she's a copywriter. She's amazing. All those things that going together. So you're asking, well, should you really take that and make it a course? For me, the answer is no brainer. Scalpel, cuff, brain out, makes sense to do it. So it's just you getting comfortable in front of the camera with Mr. Fox himself. So by saying that, I'm going to pass the ball into his court because Travis, she's the repurposing queen. And if you ever needed to repurpose here, I'm selling her. You can find her. She's going to help you repurpose, you know, for your team too. But how would you answer that question for her and put in a course together on the platform?
Well, thanks, Doc, and pleasure to get to meet you finally. I've heard much about you from Dr. O in the background. Here's my response. I think it's a psycholinguistic phraseology, and that's a really fancy way of, you know, us doctors sounding really cool for a second, even though I'm a big dork. It's a nice way of saying the sequence of what you're saying is probably where the bridge issue is. To repurpose something new out of something old is dichotomous. If it's new or it's old, it's one or the other, right? The words have very different meanings and psychological, emotional structures to you. I think for brand building, and that's the, you know, I'm only good at 2 things. I'm only either good at film, television, and teaching, or building companies like Dr. O. Beyond that, I'm dumb as a brick, right? I'll be candid with you. And I've written many books and dissertations, and I hate writing. So I love people like you. I stink at writing. It drives me bananas. My typing can't go as fast as my mouth, clearly. Here's the thing. It's a truth. Here's the deal. I think that when you're building a brand, to all of a sudden say, hey, we're going to stop, pivot, hardcore right, there has to be a very, very strong reason to do that. And we're so busy trying to reinvent that we never really reach potential before the pivot. We're so busy because we get bored with it because we've heard it 4 billion times in our heads, and we've spoken it, we've written it, we've done ever, that we think it's old. Family. let's be really candid here. There are 40 people on this call, not including Dr. O's team and some of my own team for the rest who have come here, right? That's it. There's less than 6,000 of us worldwide in ASCIRA. There's 7.4 billion on the planet. They haven't heard you yet. They haven't even got to your point of ascension. You haven't even got to the point yet where you should be bored. So let's keep the baseline brand of what you do, and then you can spider web and create offshoots, but always come back to that foundational build. Until that build, someone walks up to you and says, hey, Dr. O, I know that she's great. I want to buy her company, and you start to get into a negotiated play. You haven't reached ascension yet, in my personal opinion. Dr. O, I mean, he's a phenomenal businessman, so please, don't take my word as gospel. That's just how I built and exited companies, is when I know that someone's interested, that's when it's time for me to pivot. Until then, I haven't reached ascension yet. Keep your foundation and then do offshoots that drive people back to that foundation so they know you, they get comfortable with you, they know exactly what they're getting from you, but they don't feel like you're all over the frickin' place. Right? I'll use the best example in the music business, right? And I've had the beautiful opportunity of really spending some time with the master in that business when I was producing musical television. It was phenomenal, and that was Quincy Jones. Mr. Quincy Jones is the man. If you want to know music, you talk to Q, right? This guy's awesome. And just listening to him, one of the things that I really learned about the music business was the only person that has been really successful at what you're talking about, the rebrand, is Madonna. That's it. Everyone else has stayed with their core theme until it burned. And when it burned, they're done. That's it. Or they go back, they wait a couple years and they come back and it's, hey, we've come out of retirement tour, right? Example. Look at the Eagles. The Eagles have played the same music for 50 years. Rolling Stones, same concept, making millions every year. And I'll take you one step further, shifting you gears. David Copperfield in Magic is still doing the same magic show he did in the late 80s. Why? Because it was the foundational brand and he knew he had hit ascension point, and then you can spin off the television. So I'm always cautious when I hear any one of our students or anybody who asks me that question of, hey, I'm trying to reinvent myself. I'm like, well, have we got our foundation first before you start reinventing? The foundation is the key. Stick with that, and then you can go from there. That would be the answer I'd give you, ma'am. Dr. O?
That's
Wow,
awesome.
thank you.
Yeah. See, she was very sharp. Thank you. That's all she needs. Like, I'm good. She took notes. She's good to go. And, so to Afia, what Travis said, as you know, my anchor has been the Today's Today message. And now 6 of the 7 remaining companies is a spinoff of that foundation. Today's Today for relationships, right? So we did the whole Global Fairy Tales, a whole different company, but the core message from that is still human behavior, but in the dynamics of relationships. So it stayed to the 80% of that, same thing. It's a different, I still eat hamburgers, but now the patty is veggies.
Or if I may, Dr. O?
Yes, sir.
Think about Nike, family. Nike started with one shoe, and mastered it and then it went, okay, well, we're going to do the same swoosh. It's going to be a slightly different, but it's still a running shoe. That was their brand for the better part of, the 80s when they really started to ramp up their brand. Then once, as Dr. O said, once you have that foundation solid, your revenue's coming in, you're starting to generate wealth off the revenue, then you can move into the investment level investment on your investment capital where it doesn't affect your lifestyle. Okay, now let's go. Let's take a thing and go over here. And then if we take a venture and it doesn't quite work, it doesn't affect your core lifestyle. I find too many coaches are so busy trying to be a one-to-one coach, a one-to-stage coach. I'm doing Zooms, I'm doing funnels. I'm like, hey, that's really great. Which one's working? And they go, oh, well, I've got 3 clients. I'm like, 3 clients is not a brand. They could all die tomorrow. That's not a brand. That's just you happen to find 3 people that like you. Okay. That doesn't mean it's a brand. A brand is something different. So I always constantly look and through the architects training, and Dr. No and I are talking about working together on some very powerful things, but like relationships. I've been invited to do relationship training for almost my entire career. I've turned it down every single time. Why? It's not my passion. I can teach it. I have all the degrees to teach it as well, but it's not my passion. And I find too many coaches go, well, I see someone else do that, so I'm going to attack that market. Or I see someone else doing that, so I'm going to jump over there. That's not coaching. that's a leaf in the wind, grasping at straws, hoping to God you get the lucky dart. You might as well buy a lottery ticket because your chances of winning are 1 in a billion, because everybody now thinks they're a content provider and everybody now thinks they're a coach. You are unique. Find that uniqueness within first. That's the key. Find that and develop the heck out of it. It can never be taken away from you because you're here for a purpose, going back to the previous comment, and start there. But so often we don't believe we have anything valuable to say. And that's what you're going to learn in ASCIRA from all of these amazing other teachers. I'm a small one compared to some of these giants, Dr. O being one of them. I'm just some guy in the background that likes to make people really shine on camera because I get off on it. I think it's fun. I enjoy watching people wake up on camera, right? It's a gig for me, right? It's kind of like coffee. I'm addicted to the drug of watching people wake themselves up. Okay, that's my gig. So I know what my passion point is when I'm working on camera. And so when I look at that for people who are pivoting, especially in the coach world, right? Coaching doesn't mean brand. Coaching means you're generally talking one-to-one. There's a problem with that. It's predicated on your ability of you. There's only one of you, and we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So your limited capital income is capped by your inability to scale you. ASCIRA offers you to do that instantly if you get proved through the academy. Bang, you're exposed to people you never would have even thought of. But 2, you can build that foundation more quickly, and because you have side adjuncts like the business opportunity itself, then you can start scaling up into wealth. And then when you have that down to a science and you have more than 1 million people who go, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life, I love it, then you can spin it off. Until then, master that one thing. Get laser focused. Stop being well-rounded. Stop trying to be a coach of everything, because that's not it. Well-rounded is this. Laser is right here. Does that make sense? That's what I'd offer to you.
Boom shakalaka sense. And in business,
Hoorah, Master Chief.
Right? It makes dollars. It looked like we had, I think Jolie had a question. Hey, Jolie, what's your question, my dear?
Hi, doctor. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for this platform. It's absolutely amazing. I really appreciate. The question I have is in and around course content and ownership. So what would the T's and C's be? And would you own your material, or would you guys own a part of your IP? And what would happen, for example, if you join and you decide to leave? Just kind of like, how does that work?
Wonderful. Well, first of all, I love your accent. So I really do. I was like, just don't stop asking the question. Keep going, keep going. Keep going.
Purely South African.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And great question, by the way. So I'm gonna pass this ball back in Travis's court, because different parts of that is in his realm of being part of the content review board. Even though I know it, it's just better coming from the expert today who does it most of the time. So Travis, take this one away. And if I have 2 cents, I'll put it in to add up to that dollar.
Oh, you have more than 2 cents, brother. We both know that, but I love your humbleness. Yeah, the answer to your question is great. And what makes this so unique is you will always own your IP. Your intellectual property is yours. What ASCIRA will own is the content creation of that IP, because in order to put it on the platform, we have to have the ability to quote unquote resell it or use it on a global scale. Okay, so we own that. So let's say I'll use you as an example, man. We come and we film you, we do our 20 modules. We own what we film, but the internal IP is yours, and it's in a non-exclusive space, which means you can still use it elsewhere. The question always becomes, and something I ask all the content providers who go, well, I'm just really curious. How many people do you have coming to your platform now? And the numbers vary, so I'll leave the numbers out. And I say, so what if we put you in front of 10,000 people today, just like that, and we paid for it to capture you? Would you be willing to bring that content to us? We'll own the content, we'll pay for it. Obviously, I'm one of the ones that goes out and films and produces and directs it, and then the rest of the team edits it for you. So we do all that work for you. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever tried to create a modularized educational course. It's not holding your iPhone and going 10-minute modules unless you're just catering to an audience that wants to pay $22 and never talk to you again. I'm talking about building you as a brand, as a master teacher around the world. So you own your content. We own the content that we capture because we pay for it. You don't have to pay for any of that part. We do all the editing, posting, everything like that. Secondly, if you ever decide to leave the business, well, that's obviously your choice. I would turn that back over to Dr. O. But again, the content would stay with us because it is a perpetual use license for that content. However, again, you have the right to use your own IP wherever you're using outside in the world. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Dr. O?
And so to the the second half of that, Jolie, is this: if you decide to leave, let's say, the business, or leave from actively participating on the platform, ASCIRA still own the rights to that content. What it does, and listen, this is the most beautiful thing. If your content is amazing and well branded in our platform, and people just like me, they just fall in love with your South African accent, and they're just binge watching on you, and you decide to go do whatever it is you like, but they want to work with you. As you saw, they can still connect to you from our platform, and you are no longer paying attention to ASCIRA. Then all of a sudden you get these messages in your email or your Facebook or your website, and they still want the model of your beautiful accent, right? There's nothing to do with that.
And that's a powerful point, Doctor, and I'm glad you picked up on it, because I was trying to throw that softball back at you.
Yeah.
Family, I think if you look at, just take this from a pure marketing perspective. Now, I've been producing for 30 years. I can tell you point blank, if you walked in my door today and said, Travis, I want you to produce something like this, it's going to start at middle 5 figures before I even talk to you. Not because I'm a schmuck, or I'm trying to be it just takes a lot of effort to do it. It takes a ton. So, when you see one of these average 1 minute or 1 hour television shows, I know when I used to produce for PBS, those average shows cost between $200,000 and $300,000 to capture a 1 hour show. Because it's not just the 1 hour. There's all these other things that go in it. So we're going to take your content, we're going to put you on a global scale. If we never hear from you again, well, like Dr. O said, there is residuals that come to you from the benefit of being, and I hate to use this term, but I'm going to use it, guilty by association. Because you're in the gig. Because going through the academy, we are screening to make sure that the people that come through are the best they can be, and they're going to continue to evolve. I don't, like I said in the beginning part of this call, as part of my job on the board is I like to look for not one-hit wonders. They're out there, and there are some people do that and they're developed. I like for 1, 2, and 3. And then, as like Dr. O said, the residual that comes off of that, that's between you and your higher power, whatever you call that, journey on. Well, the benefit of that, zero, right? Doesn't cost you anything. If you want to do it yourself, and for those of you who've done funnels or done the process or tried to market it, it's not easy, and you have to know every nut and bolt in your ship. All I want you to know is when you walk in that door and you've been approved by the board and the brand ambassadors and John and Belinda, that when we go to capture you, you are scope locked, laser focused, and all you're focused on is giving the best performance and edutainment you could possibly give in your life. And we're going to pull that out of you in every way possible. And if I have to throw things at you, act like a clown, get you pumped full of coffee, whatever it takes so that beautiful part of you pops up, because the camera doesn't lie. It captures what's happening in real time. That lasts an eternity. If you can do that anywhere else on the planet for zero cost, I highly recommend you go. Otherwise, you need to get in here right now, do what this takes, and get your message out there, and then start building the brand from there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, love.
Absolutely. And I just wish you had another question just so I can hear your accent again. So think about one, Jolie, make it up. So thank you for that, Travis. I mean, listen, guys, it's been a phenomenal time here. Hope you're getting so much value out of this today. So again, if you have any other questions, whether it's regarding becoming a content provider, branding yourself, or building the business, now's the time to do so. Don't be shy. Let either Travis or myself answer that for you, because the opportunity is here. Besides the fact of, for me, this is the main reason why I did it, besides the fact of really just building and branding myself. So let me give you guys a little bit here. I started to share it in the beginning of the presentation, but Fasana and I, when we started building the Outcomes and Breakthrough Mastermind, which is my life's message and her life's message, we've woven into that. We took that company to over 335% in 6 months, which means we were aggressively building that business. But there's only so much we could have done. It's like every weekend it was London, Canada, you name it. And even though we were having a good time, she was worn the heck out. Right? We would get on a flight and we would get to wherever we went that night. And it was like 9:30 at night. Fasana, peace out. She's gone to sleep. and we'll start preparing to do events and come up and all that stuff. But now the exact same message is already on the platform and I'm doing nothing. She's putting her course on that platform and she's doing nothing. Guess what most of our focus is? Building the business end of ASCIRA. So we have more business partners and friends in different areas of the world, so that when we do decide to go do one of those 2-day events, we have a huge following, right? This is just a reverse engineering process that ASCIRA has branded us both globally. You want to talk about zero now in marketing, zero commissions now that we're paying out, because we had a commission structure to pay folks who were really marketing us in local markets. Now we get 100% of that because we're filling the rooms ourselves. So I just wanted to share that with you. So when Fasana finally saw that, this is what she said. Why didn't you say that the first time? I'm like, I thought you got it when I said this is what we're doing. She's like, well, now you put it that way, we can play. So for those of you who are getting it on the business side, if you have questions, ask on becoming a content and branding you, ask, because we only have another 15 minutes left, and then we're gonna, that's a wrap. So take the time, take advantage of, what'd you say, babe? Okay, so she says,
I have a question if you guys, can you hear me?
yes, ma'am. How do you say your name? Madhu?
Madhu.
Madhu, all right, I got it right. Hi, Madhu, what's your question?
It's funny, when a friend of mine, actually Dora is here, and when they called me, I didn't even think twice. I signed up. I bought the founders package because in just last 2 years alone, I've spent over probably $50,000 in personal development. So it was a no-brainer. And as a busy professional, how do you introduce it to people? That's probably where my disconnect is, because I know everybody can use it, but really the handful of people that consume the content and create content.
Gotcha.
How do you introduce it?
Madhu, that is a beautiful question. So, for example, and I'll give you this. So, it's funny you ask that, because I have 2 friends of mine that's on the Zoom right now, right? Kelby's a good friend of mine, and my dear friend who he hadn't said anything yet. He's still hiding. Where's he at? Right. So my dear friend, Dr. Femi, who's on here too. Right. And what's funny is I spoke to both of them about the opportunity when it first came into play. And just today I'm following up with both Femi and Kelby today. So I'm busy running, well, up until yesterday, 8 other companies. And the last 3 weeks, I've been extremely busy closing down a multi-million-dollar business, right? So the reason why I closed that business down was because 2 of my main distributors actually died from COVID. So now I have to look at replacing those individuals, which in what's going on in the current situation of the world is taking way too much energy for me to do that. So I made the decision to close that company down, even though it's a $10 million a month profiting business. The time are just pockets of sending a text message to people I know, like, and trust. Dr. Femi and I have been looking to work together for almost a year now. We haven't figured that out yet. So sometimes it's the right timing for some people, but I always share it when I have some time. So in my days, I have an hour that I set aside that I'll reach out and connect with folks. For me personally, how my schedule works is I don't answer unanswered calls or unscheduled calls. So if somebody calls me and I don't answer, it's not because I'm ignoring them. They weren't on the calendar for today. I respond better to text messages because my breaks in between, I look at text and so on and so forth. So to answer that more is I look at my schedule. When I have some quality time that I've set, within that 45 minutes to an hour, I'll either start a text message with a friend. And the reason why I love text messages is you're probably like me. You love people, but the moment you get engaged with a conversation that you say is going to be 5 minutes is 55 minutes, right? So I communicate more through text messaging so we can get our point across. And if we need to set up a Zoom or something, I'll put it on the calendar so I have the time to do that, right? But just today alone, I'm texting back and forth between Dr. Femi and Kelby, and both of them, the timing, Kelby was asking me if I have some time tonight to chat. And I says, listen, it was literally 15 minutes before I got on this. I said, bro, I'm actually doing the presentation, join me live, and we're doing a Q&A after. And after that, I have like 10, 15 minutes that we could talk back and forth. So if he doesn't ask questions there, I have 10 minutes that him and I are gonna chat. So I schedule my time and I make good use of it, right? So it all depends on how you share with who you share, but I'm always sharing with people who I know already have a message or that are already good entrepreneurs. Because one of the two, they will either become a content provider or not, or they will build a business with me or not, or they'll do both or not. But either way, I select some time during the day just to do that. And it's typically an hour. And then every day, that's the same time I use another 30 minutes to do follow-ups. I hope that that's helpful for you.
What do you say? So that's my challenge. I think I'm struggling because I haven't really deep dived. This is the first call I've actually hopped on.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
it's been really incredible. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things, the best way for you to lead, the way you got started, is to find the folks that believe in and trust in you the same way that you believe and trust in your friend. Right? So that's right away. So you're going to go through that collective group of individuals who know, like, and trust you, that's going to listen to you and probably do exactly what you did with your friend. Once you're in now, depending on who've invited you, you're probably connected to our page that shows all the different trainings and things that we do on a daily, weekly basis that'll actually teach you how to build the business step by step by step. That way you don't have to reinvent the wheel. One of the things I am best at, like, you know, Travis was talking about niche down. I am best at simplifying the complicated and making systems for them, right? So we have a system that's modulated, and that system teaches you how to expose, how to teach, how to present, how to actually introduce the opportunity, what to say, all that in there. So the best way is to always, though, take what we're teaching and come from the heart, because everybody could feel when you're phony. And like I said, I don't know if, you know, whether he does or not, Dr. Femi or Kelby, but what I want to do is make sure that I come from the heart and share with both my friends an opportunity to either put their work on a platform and brand them globally, and an opportunity to generate a 6 or 7 figure income. And after that, the ball's in their court to decide. I don't take it personal if they say no. It's just not now. I don't take it personal if they say no at all. It's just probably not for them. But what I do know, it is for me. And in the beginning, when I say the beginning, the first time I got into like this relationship industry, I took everything personal. I'm still emotional, but now I learn how to discipline my disappointments, and I just learn a system. So what I would advise you to do is connect with one of our training pages. It's the Social Lifestyle Community page on Facebook. Just type that in, you'll find us. And on there, you'll get the announcements if you're not on it already. You'll get the announcements, the trainings. We do trainings basically every other week. We do 4 different trainings a week. And the weeks like this week, we do what's called a lot of blitzes, which is just a lot of presentations all day long. And then at the end of the day, a question and answer. So you can get your questions answered, whether it's business related, building the business, or being a content provider. Does that help? And my wife just actually posted the link in the group. Perfect. So you can click on there and join it and learn more about how to build step by step. So with that too, I'm going to pass the ball over to Travis to answer that part of the question. Yeah, if you remember. He's going, me?
Me?
Yeah, you. If you remember the question.
Yeah, we were playing base football, right?
Yeah, base football.
I think the best way I invite all of my team members and all the architects to respond is 2 things. One, each person is uniquely different. One of the things I've seen in the past, and you know, Dr. Noah and I come from a very similar background. I've trained for other companies for over years, and I never got a part of them because there was two fundamental issues that I always found. One, they were product centric, meaning you had to expound upon a product that probably wasn't your passion point, and you had to learn a bunch of stuff that you weren't that interested. Or the other one was they were kind of like this cult theology. If you talk to anybody outside of that, well, that's, you know, that's bad. Now, both of those are fundamentally blown out of the water here in ASCIRA, which is, you know, when John and I sat down with the rest of the team, and he said, Travis, I want you to be a part of it. Those are the two key points to me. It now allows you to look at each individual person as a person, because each person is going to come into this opportunity from a very different perspective. Some just want to be content providers, as Dr. O said. Some just want to build the business because they want something that's scalable and they don't have to get locked into the two things of product centric or you know, culture centric. And other people are going to be both. And some, which is what I think a lot of us are really going to fall in the category, which is where I'm excited about, is they know they've got a message in there somewhere. They need to learn how to build a business on a multiple level revenue scale to build revenue, wealth building, and investment capital, because that's truly how you build long-term wealth strategies and branding. But two, there's people that are going to help them do it because they don't have a competitive model. That's the key, right? So when you're approaching someone, I always invite, sit still first and just listen. Now, whatever your higher power is, I'm not here to coach anybody that because I'm not that smart, but just listen, there's something inside of you. We call that the architect. You call it what you want. That's going to tell you something different. So each one of you has asked a very different question. And if you've noticed, Dr. Noah and I, both instinctually, both and also our training, our background, and who we are, have answered you with a different style and a different tempo and a different movement. And that's because you're an individual. One of the things I would caution all of you, and I caution all of my team as well, is stop trying to make every square peg fit into a round hole, right? Just be honest. Hey, Madhu, here's the deal. You know what? I got involved in this thing. It's excited. It's changed my life. Here's the link. I want you to come join me. Far too often, I'm going to go back to Peter's comment all the way back about an hour ago. We get locked in our own story, trying to convince, trying to, you know, sell and persuade long before we've even actually just invited them. Because we're so insecure, we're concerned, they're going to judge us, they're going to go nuts. Oh, you got into social lifestyling. What's wrong with you? You've gone off the rails. That's not the truth. The truth is, deep down inside, we all want to be connected to something bigger than ourselves. Our job, what makes a great business entrepreneur, is being able to connect with that within yourself and then expound upon it instantaneously with each and every person you meet at their level. Not, and I don't mean less than or more than, I mean where they're at in their life and their moment. Each one of us has a different dream. Our job is to invite that dream. ASCIRA is the mechanism. So you are the cause, ASCIRA is the effect. So you cause that invitation, the effect is they see it and they go, bang, I'm in. Content provider, business builder, both, or hey, what, I want to develop all of them. I'm not ready, but I know I need to do all this now. And then I'm going to be ready in 6 months. By then I'll be diamond or I'll be ambassador. And then money's not the issue. Now it's really diving into my passion. So it's our job to connect from that space. So I always come from the same space. I listen to what my architect says, and then I reach out and I go, hey, Dr. O, this thing's really cool. You know, I can tell you our years, it's always been eat what you kill, right? Because you either on stage, you either have a funnel, you're coaching one-to-one, we're trying to do all these other things. Guess what? I found something that really has changed my life. I want you to come join me. Here's the link. Boom, that's it. And sometimes less is more. In fact, more often than not, get down to this. Oh, here's the invite. This changed my life. Check it out. It's kind of like this. Every one of us is a great marketer when we take money out of the equation. And if you come to this event, Super Saturday, Dr. O and I are doing together with some of the other great diamonds and the founder and CEO, John and Belinda, we're going to talk about that in specificity. When moment you bring money into it, we become different people. But if I say, hey, was that a great movie? Oh man, you'll tell me why that was a great movie. If you tell me, was that a great restaurant? You'll tell me all the reasons why that was a great restaurant. But if I ask you, tell me why this is a great an opportunity, you go, and I'm like, is that Martian? What happened to you? And that's because our brain jumps in and starts giving us all the excuses, judgment, reasons why they're going to say no because we haven't got solid with yes yet. We haven't got solid with it. So invite from that space. And remember, each person is going to be a different spot, and just come from that authenticity and then let it go. And then I go back to what Dr. O said. The timing in and of itself is consistency, follow up, and it will happen all on its own.
Absolutely.
That's my answer.
Travis, it's a round. That's a round of applause. See, that's another mic. I pick up the mic again, and it was good to go.
You're going to get good shoulders. You keep picking up that mic, Dr. O.
Right. So exactly. So we have time for one more question, and I'm so glad that it's my sister from South Africa with the accent again. Jolie had a question. Jolie, what's your question? And I get to finish today with the cool accent. So Jolie, what was the other question you had, my friend?
I had to make sure I come up with another question, so I have. Yes. Especially for you. So my message is all about joy, and I have two incredible partners in my business who are two horses who really contribute to my message and my energy when I actually provide content out there. And I'm just wondering if it would be possible to do filming with my girls, which are my two horses.
You know, I would say yes, right? And it's how you get that there. So equine therapy is very important. Like, it was a very important part of my healing process. So I've done, like, my wife and I have a favorite Frisian of ours. And anyway, so don't let me get too emotional there with it, but I understand that. So it is sometimes, if you can't come to the studio, I guess the studio has to come to you. So I'll transfer that ball into Travis's court, because that sounds like it would be a phenomenal course. Travis?
Well, first of all, I wish I had your accent. And by the way, I love Africa. I've been there several times and I love it. And I love South Africa. So thank you, because it shows that we are a global community. My first response is thank you. I'm an autistic father. Equine therapy has been a massive influence in that industry, and I've been a spokesperson for 18 years. My mother, who is not on this call, but mother who is an Assyrian, by the way, who got into this, who is she rescues wild Mustangs and does equine therapy for autistics out of California. I know this topic very well. I'm not an equine therapist, and horses and I have a very unique relationship. I have a horse myself. I have a Spanish Andalusian. I had a Peruvian Paso as well. So I know horses well. Would I tell you I'm a great rider? No, but you put me on a motorcycle, I'm awesome. Okay, so here's the deal. Yes, the answer is yes. If it is vital to you as a content provider and something like that, I can tell you right away, I'm already excited as heck because I want to get your application. I want to talk to you right now.
I want to be on that shoot too, Travis.
Oh, heck. Dude, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? We're going to be on the horses.
That's right.
We're going to ride off into the sunset like Butch and Sundance. Right? That's what, when I go all the way back to the very beginning, when Dr. O invited me to come on today, and he said, look, I really want people to understand what the Academy is about at a deeper level. So I said, yeah, that's a great idea. Fabulous idea. And it was his idea. So credit given where credit due to both of him and Mrs. They always come up with great ideas. I said, you know, that's what we're talking about. Because again, if we go back to hearken to, let's say, and I'm going to go way back in the day, everyone wants to do a version of Think and Grow Rich. Got it. Read the book. I'm not interested. Equine therapy, you got my attention, because there's a massive autistic community. There's a massive pediatric community, and there is a massive PTSD community that benefits like booyah, that needs that. And guess where you can find it? Nowhere. I got to try to find you, and I don't know if you're worthy or if you're just some cowboy who got off on a horse and said, I'm an equine therapist. It's insane because it's a very non-regulated space. So what we do at the Academy is being able to vet this, look through it, and find the uniqueness of it. Yes, your horses would absolutely be a part of it. The studio, this isn't a studio shoot. We're coming to you. For example, next week when I go to Colorado to catch 4 of the new content providers and we're capturing them, it's in different locations. Now, it's all within the same area, but different locations subject to the content provider. And what John and Belinda and the brand ambassadors have advised us to the board is, to the best of our ability, we don't want talking head, shoot it in the studio on a green screen, because nobody's interested, right? It's boring. Edutainment. Horses are interesting, but what you do is such a specific task. It has to have the horses in it. So the answer would be yes. The timing would be, we would package you with multiple other content providers. And yes, Dr. O and I will come. We'll both call John and say, we're going. We got to check this out, because I want to capture this, because I love capturing stories like that. And I want to win. And we're very good at our production company doing this, winning awards across the board for unique capture, storytelling that puts ASCIRA on the map, not just as a unique platform and changing the world educationally, but also as a producer, how we produce the content. I mean, I just got done producing some of the content the other day for one of the new content providers who has been approved, who's coming on, who is a Qigong master. Phenomenal. But we didn't shoot it in the studio, and we didn't shoot it the way you're traditionally done it. You're going to be in that same category for me. I can already see in my head how I would shoot it. I already know how the block plate's going to look. All I need from you is, on your application, what's the story arc? and give me that 3-minute video. Of course, I've seen you in person, so I'm kind of cheating now because Dr. I've already kind of seen her audition tape, but the rest of the board hasn't. In fairness, they need to see it too. And give us that audition tape and let us see the horses in the shot. Let us know because that's a key thing. We forget that some of the props or the things that we actually talk about are vital to that. And we don't get that if it's just you talking on a screen like I am now. All I see is this headshot, this upper third. I'm like, well, that's great. They know how to smile. That's awesome. But wait a minute. She does equine therapy? Well, where's the horse? Is it a plastic horse? Is it is it a blow up horse? Is it one that floats in the pool? Is that a unicorn? I don't know. But if you show it to us, it immediately goes, okay, we get the uniqueness of it. There's the master we're looking for, how we're going to film this. And then when we get on the call with you, after the board has approved it, we can already block plate this for you. I'm very excited about you. If you do not submit an application, I'm calling Dr. O and saying, where is she? Where's the accent? I want to hear this. That's the stuff we're looking for. Bring your mastership. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you as a parent. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for all the people who've served around the world in some sort of military or have had traumatic events, because horses are sharp tacks. They really know what's going on. And I think this needs to go in a much bigger scale. So thank you for doing what you do.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Trevor. I just want to do a happy dance right now.
Go ahead. Why
Do the
not?
happy dance. Do the happy dance.
How
Do the
does
happy
this
dance.
get me better than
I'll
that?
even sing you a song to do the happy dance. Jolie, 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 Jolie.
I mean, that's a perfect example of what we don't want right there. Just kidding. Just
Oh
kidding.
man. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've obviously went over time here a little bit, but this has been a power pack, phenomenal hour again, as always. And Travis, thank you so much for your amazing time. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you,
brother.
everyone. What I would instruct you to do is, if you've learned and you're excited, please get back to the person who invited you on today so that they can tell you what the next steps is for you, whether it's, your interest is in more of becoming a content or building the business, or both. But with that, again, my name is Dr. Obam Bowen. And since I'm saying the last words, Travis might be sexy, but I'm sexy and I know it. Good night, everybody. God bless you. We'll see you all again soon. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.